What are some of the stories that are in them? What can we expect when we crack open the books?
Well, crack that open.
Well, I gotta give you
They're
enough.
pretty, they're intense, like this story. I mean, I'm not for the faint of heart, I guess,
Never have it.
No. But when I hear you do that story, I only think of her as a human being. I don't think of her as some crazed person or some out of control person or some vicious person, or I just look at her as a person who's had a very rough time. And she's done the best. I mean, there's so many things noble about her, which you manage to possess. You possess her noble aspect.
Oh, well, thank you, but enough about me.
But it's true, and that's what makes it work with you doing it, because she's got this, love of her child does come first, even though it's distorted by other influences, but she does her best, as she says she does her best. So, I don't know other stories in the book. Well, there are other wild stories and fun stories. Who's Afraid of Edward Albee is pretty fun. It also has its moments of high hysteria.
Talk about your love for Edward Albee.
No.
How that's inspired you.
Oh, thanks. That's a good one. Well, I went when I was a teenager. I waited and waited for I read the play, I guess, and I was like 18. I was too young to get into the theater. It was downtown in St. Louis, one of those old movie palaces that legit vaudeville palaces that had been turned into a movie theater. And I could not wait until it opened. I took the bus, and I had to lie at the ticket counter to get my ticket to see Who's Afraid of. And I was the only child in that.
I was about to say you had to be.
Oh,
one
absolutely.
Of the
People were like, "What's this kid?" But I was used to that. So I went in there and I just devoured that movie. I devoured the movie, and then of course I've seen the play about 20 times since. Well, I just think even though he was in the closet for so long, which is fine, I guess.
Recognized game?
Yeah, exactly. I knew
you saw something
then,
inside.
I just was so attracted to his anger and his boldness and his dealing with, how he would get into the situation maybe sexually, but it was a much more universal and complex and deep subject matter was sprawled out from the sexuality and from the, I learned so much. I learned from those guys, Inge, Williams, Albee, all those old school guys were my teachers. And they really were, because when I saw those plays or read those plays, I was just transfixed by they all share sexuality in terms of their homosexuality, but also the way they depicted sexuality was in a different way than others, I think, because of their homosexuality, probably.
Now you're from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, from the same sort of area.
Exactly. So how did you make your migration to California, and how did that inspire you mostly? Like first as a performer though, but then the writing, did that come first, or?
The writing came as a result of not being fully. I hate to use these words. I'm always like, do I sound like a victim? Of not being, embraced as an actor because I was gay. So it was the best thing that could have happened. I was forced to write in a way to survive. It became a survival tactic. And then when AIDS came along, I had something to write about. I had both the skill, some skill, and the subject matter at my fingertips. And the skill just improved and improved and improved quickly. I think largely because of the subject matter, because of the pain, because of the confusion, I was just forced to figure out how to convey these things. Of course, I do them in my own way. Like what you did is an example of what I do. So I went at the subject matter in a more overtly sexual, probably way, but I think it was my way in, and people bought it.
Do you have any, in the LGBTQ community, are there any writers that speak to you today?
You know, we could go on and on and on about the LGBTQ IGYXL community, because I don't know that there is that community, frankly. And I think that
Specifically, what do you mean when you say you don't think there is that?
I don't see much community going on. I mean, I see a lot of divisiveness, just like I do everywhere.
Okay.
There's divisiveness there, you know. There's divisiveness between the lesbian community and the trans community and the this community and the that community. So there's all these different factions at war to some degree. So I mean, I'd rather be a part of a bigger community. You know, I mean, I know that I could be impaled when I leave the theater here for that thing. The theater. I'm in a theater. You know what I'm saying?
I would think that, you know, people have a broader scope of where you're coming from. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I mean, I feel like I feel like I've worked for that. Not that I've worked to remove myself from anything, but just to enhance what's there and speak to a larger group of individuals than just, you know, my audiences when I started out were all gay men.
Gotcha.
Gay men. That was it. That was what was in the audience. Then things started changing around the HIV and AIDS work. Other people started coming because the focus was, you know, broader. And I looked at more subject matter. I looked at more individuals. I didn't just, you know, limit myself.
Yeah, in the great words of Maya Angelou, we are more alike than we are unalike, right? So
that's what acting's about
yeah.
to me. And